Hello, friends. This is Parag here, your host on Stay Strong podcast. Thank you very much for joining this podcast every week. It's my promise to bring you the world class information in the field of kettlebell sport, and strength and conditioning. We have an extremely special guest today who is 58 and she started lifting weights post 40. She didn't have any kind of exposure until 40, only walking, running, and just doing some kind of floor exercises. But post 40, when she started lifting kettlebells, in 15 years, 14 to 15 years, she has climbed up the ladder of success to achieve Master of Sports International class couple of times, Master of Sports multiple times. She is 58 and she had a knee replacement surgery in 2020, couple of years back, after which she actually got better in lifting. She mentioned her range of motion in squat has gotten better, and knee replacement actually has helped her to improve her form and technique and get better in lifting. Please help me to welcome Sandy from Michigan, and a very special guest with a very special podcast because she's going to share her training secrets and the training programs. Welcome back to Stay Strong podcast. Thank you very much for joining back. It's my promise to bring you the best of the best information in the world of kettlebell sport, kettlebells and strength and conditioning. And today we have Sandy from Michigan. Welcome, Sandy, for Stay Strong podcast. Thank you very much for joining. Can you please give me your introduction, professional and fitness background?
My kettlebell lifting, I started when I was older. Is that what you want? Okay. I started in my late 40s, actually. Okay. I was not an athlete when I was younger at all. And I found kettlebell sport kind of by accident. The gym, some friends of mine wanted to take a kettlebell class and they had to have 5 people in the class, the introduction class. And so they conned me into doing it, and I fell in love with it and I've done it ever since.
Okay. So that was in the year, which year did you start?
It would have been 2008, I believe.
Okay. So it's been a while you're into the kettlebell sport area and lifting kettlebell. So who introduced kettlebell sport to you? Like formally the introduction, because you get started with the kettlebell lifting and then you merge into kettlebell sport lifting, but who officially introduced the kettlebell sport?
My first coach was Jerry Gray.
Okay.
He is actually one of the oldest men now to continue to lift competitively
okay.
in the world, because he's in his 80s. He introduced me to it, and I liked the competitive spirit. I liked the people that I met, and so I guess I'm a little good at it, so it's fun to do.
Yeah, it's interesting to understand that you get started with kettlebell sport post 40, but then did you had any exposure with the strength training or maybe some kind of a cardio background before 40? Like, were you into any kind of exercise earlier?
No, I would do a little bit of cardio to try to just stay a little bit healthy. I had a ski machine that I used, but that was just to try to keep the pounds off, do a little bit of, but until I found kettlebells, I really didn't do anything.
Okay, so did you lift the weights earlier?
Did I do what?
Did you lift the weights? Did you do the strength training?
Not until I found kettlebells.
Okay, so you started lifting with weights the first time post 40. Is that so?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, wow. Interesting. So it is interesting to know because when we interact with a lot of women and they really get exposed to lifting weights very late in the life. But interesting to know also that they really do well, even they start late. So it's great to know that many women can really do really well as compared to men when it comes to strength training. But women fail to understand that lifting weights is very important for them. And this podcast would basically give them the right information that examples like you started late and you're doing very well in the field of kettlebells. It can really help women to build up their career as well. Can you give a little bit of your professional background and how do you manage your trainings?
How do I manage them? I just try to do as much as I can. I have to have my recovery days in, especially as you get a little bit older. The recovery days are just as important as your lifting days.
Yes.
So I try to lift 3 to 4 times a week. I try to do a cardio day sometime where I'm doing something that's not weightlifting, just to keep the lung capacity going. And I just work around my work schedule. I mean, I'm still working full time. And so I just do it after work. I do it on the weekends. And because I enjoy it so much, I just fit it in when I can.
Okay. So what is your typical working hours? That is like, do you work out for an hour or so, or maybe it might go 90 minutes? How it is?
During the week, it's usually about 45 minutes, the couple of times that I do it. And then on the weekends, I will lift longer, depending on what I'm working on. I did a 6-hour lift last summer. And so when I was training for that on the weekends, I would lift 3 hours at a time, 4 hours to try to get ready for it.
Okay. So when you got exposure in 2008, slowly you built up the pace, but then when you started lifting a little longer, did you used to practice this for a little longer time since then, or it was like you started lifting kettlebells lately for a longer time, like for ultra marathon, something like that?
I guess I just kept adding to it and just going heavier. I guess that's what I think you want to know. And with everything, you've got to get the technique down before you can go to the heavier weights.
Yes. So you try to include a lot of lightweight trainings, or do you use the competitive bell when you do the training? So like, for example, if your competitive bell is 16 kilos, you do more lift with 12 kilos, or do you lift more of 16 kilos?
I do both, actually. I have a coach and he makes me lift heavier. And then, but other days I do a little bit lighter just to work on pacing, I guess is what it is. And he has me do some things that will help increase my grip strength.
Okay.
So like glove snatch and that kind of thing. So I go lighter then. And so it's actually a wide range, depending on what I'm working on.
Okay, got it. So you must have done several sets of 10 minutes or a 30-minute marathon. Like you've mentioned that you have done a 6 hours training, 6 hours lifting. What is the challenge do you find in kettlebell lifting, Sandy? Like say, for example, if you're doing a 10-minute lift, what is the challenge? The challenge is going to be different when it comes to 30 minutes lifting or 60-minute lifting. So what are the key challenges you find, which you can share based on your experience at this age?
For the getting ready for a competition?
No, well, actually, when you're actually lifting, say, for example, if you're lifting for 10 minutes, so is the last minute very challenging, or there are other several things which might occur in your mind when you're actually lifting? So what are those challenges and how do you face those? I want example in 10-minute lifting. Simultaneously, I want an example for even the marathon lifting. So how do you manage your the mess which goes in here?
The mind game, as we call it here.
Yes.
Arguing with ourselves. With a 10-minute lift, it's the challenge is usually like 7 minutes in when you start arguing with yourself. You want to be done. You're tired because you're going as fast as you can with a 10-minute lift.
Yes.
So the cardio is getting to you. Your heart rate's up, and you have to argue with yourself not to put the bell down, that you can keep going.
Yes.
And with longer lifts, it's definitely an argument. You want to put it down, you're tired. It's different because you can change more often. There's more than one arm switch in the long ones. So it's more about, I don't want to keep going, but yet you do. I'm very stubborn. Okay. And so I always, when I'm arguing with myself, it's like, I'm not going to let the bell beat me. I'm going to beat the bell. So that's to me, it's the biggest thing with kettlebell sport is arguing with yourself and not putting the bell down and saying you can do this and keeping yourself positive as you go.
Okay. So do you really practice these things before you start the set? Like say, for example, you're off the season and you're not doing any kind of competition. So is it that only during the competition you have these kind of words interaction with yourself, or do you really have those things continuously going in your mind that, okay, I know I'm going to lift for 30 minutes and it is going to be a very challenging set. So do you really train yourself prior to competition, or only during the competition do you train that? Because at times the mind is not ready, but then when you practice that, the mind becomes ready. So what is your take on that?
I agree with you, but you have to practice it. You can't just get up on the platform and think that you're going to win the argument with yourself, because I think if you don't practice it, you'll just quit. The bell, as I say, will win. I practice it all the time. There's many times I don't want to lift. I'm tired. I'm stressed from work, or I've got other things going on. It's like, no, I have to do this. And sometimes when I'm feeling that way, once I get started, I have my best practice sessions. It's like once I start going, then it's like, okay, yeah, this is what I need. This helps me with my stress. This helps me release the tension, and I feel much better.
Okay. Do you have bad days, Sandy? For example, you're ready for lifting and you reach the gym and then you think, oh, I really thought I would do really great, but there are different things which are going in. So do you have bad days, and do you really lift on those days?
Oh, I definitely have bad days. Definitely do. Here at work, and even with the bells, I mean, I'll go and I'm like, I'm going to do this. And it's a horrible lift. It's a horrible practice session. And I actually think those are good to have, because when you overcome them and go back and do a better job the next time, then you're like, I've done it. I've overcome what's going on in my life, and I've overcome this bad set that I had, and I did what I wanted to do. I mean, I still have bad times on the platform when the bell wins, but I try to have fewer of those and more of the, I'm going to do this, I'm going to complete, I'm going to finish. So everybody has bad days.
Yes. And of course, I mean, it is all about how do we manage those thoughts which comes in our mind. And once you really surpass those thoughts and be more positive, then I think results are really good. Because then when there are good days, then things might be much better that way.
Yes, I agree.
Yes. Simultaneously, it is very important for me to understand, when you're doing very hard training, do you also have a very good nutrition which is supported by supplementation, or do you really believe that the home food or the food which you take is only the food which is really great for kettlebell sport, or do you really have something extra, especially for recovery perspective? So what do you think? What do you suggest, and what do you have? Both the things.
Well, I don't know if I could suggest anything. I have certain foods that I know that I can't eat before I'm lifting because it'll upset my stomach. I try to eat somewhat healthy. I happen to love salads and greens, so It makes it very easy for me to eat healthier, I guess. And there's definitely things, like I said, I can't eat before I lift because I know it'll upset my stomach. So when I'm up on the platform, that's the last thing you want to worry about, is what's going on with my stomach. So, but I think it's different for every person. I think it depends on what you're used to eating, and what's in your area to eat. Some people, I mean, different countries have different foods that are good for them, or that they can find easily that will help. But I definitely think a good nutrition plan helps everyone. As far as supplements, I don't take a lot of supplements. I have a pre-workout drink that I take. That I think helps me when I'm working out. But other than that, I don't really take a lot. It's just a personal thing. I mean, I don't want to put a bunch of stuff into my body, I guess.
Yes.
So.
Okay, so do you take protein shakes post-workout, or do you eat eggs and chicken and fish and all that? So
post-workout, I don't have protein shakes. A lot of the protein shakes here are dairy, and I have a little bit of an intolerance with the dairy. So I use protein powder I make protein balls, and it's mixed with peanut butter and honey and coconut, and I can eat those, and I like those. So that's a lot of times what I'll do. I'll have one of those after a workout, or, as a snack. I find that those work out better for me than having a protein shake. So.
Okay. So, but you mentioned, you didn't mention that you are a vegetarian or you're non-vegetarian. So
I'm not a vegetarian now.
Okay.
I just like a lot of green.
Okay. Yes, that's nice. I mean, the world is shifting towards getting more into greens and being more vegan, and a lot of people are getting benefit out of that. So yeah, so that's a very good added advantage for the athletes who want to really get a vegan, because I'm sure you must have seen that documentary which was on Netflix about being a vegan and being more productive and effective in your lifting. But yeah, every sports science, every nutrition has a different theory. So what suits you not necessarily would suit someone else. So yeah,
Right.
great. Sandy, do you have any injuries? And if so, how do you deal with it? Like, if not, but through kettlebells or maybe any kind of prior injuries?
I had a torn rotator cuff.
Okay.
And I had that repaired 6 years ago.
Okay.
I asked the doctor if it was from kettlebell sport. He said it may have added to it. He said, but I don't think that it was the only reason that you had the torn rotator cuff. He goes, I think you had a tear, and I went probably heavier than I should have against my coach's advice. And so that's when I heard it, but I have no problems now. I've come back without a problem. And then in 2020, I had a knee replacement, which has nothing to do with kettlebell sport.
Okay.
I injured that years ago. The doctor told me when I was in my 30s that I was going to need a replacement, but not until I was older. And I actually think kettlebell sport helped me deal with the problems I had in my knees, helped strengthen my legs and the muscles and everything else. So in my opinion, it helped me to put the surgery off. So and even in 2020, when I had it done, I could have gone longer probably without it, but I figured 2020, nothing was going on because of COVID, and I could get the surgery done and recover and get back to lifting and not miss any big competitions.
Okay.
So that's why I did it.
Oh, okay. So you did the replacement for both the knees, or it's like
One knee.
one knee? But what was exactly the suggestion by the doctor, and why did he mention that? I mean, instead of doing some rehabilitation, or was it really uncurable?
It was the knee needed to be replaced because I tore the meniscus years ago.
Okay.
And probably in my late 20s is when I tore it, and I was bone on bone.
Okay.
And I had some pain and some discomfort, and that's why I went to him and I'm like, what can I do? And he said, basically your only option is to continue to deal with it or to get it replaced. And since it was, like I said, the year that no competitions were going on, I'm like, might as well get it done now.
Okay.
So I did.
Okay. So post knee replacement, how is the training shaping up?
Great.
It's gotten better?
It actually has, because I have more flexibility in my knee now. I can actually do squats and things that I couldn't do before, because then I could only bend my knee so far. And the range of motion was getting worse and worse. That's another reason why I wanted to get it done. So no, I think it's much better now. Okay.
So post knee replacement, did you do any kind of online competition? Or offline?
Yeah, I went to France last year and and did the IKMF World.
Okay.
And I mean, I've done a bunch of online competitions. I'm going to Portugal in June.
Okay.
So,
That's nice. So great to see, or great to understand that you have faced so many things, and then you had the rotator cuff issue, plus you had a knee replacement, and then you are still working on your form and technique, and actually the form and technique, as you mentioned, is getting better. So that's really good to hear, because there are a lot of women, a lot of men, when they have such kind of surgeries and operation, they get laid back. And this will be a very inspirational for them to understand that if you keep on training, I think you will just get those things out of your mind and really progress forward to have a much more positive life and much more positive lifting. So that's really nice. Have you ever tried to do coaching without a coach? Like, did you coach yourself without taking any guidance?
Um,
Like
I
writing a programs, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and then that is basically coaching yourself. So have you done that, or you have always had a coach?
I've always had a coach. I, in turn, take what I've learned from him and I coach other people,
Okay.
just a couple people in my gym. But I prefer to have someone coach me because they pushed me. And I'm afraid that if I didn't do that, that I wouldn't push as hard. Sometimes what he programs, I look at the sheet and I'm like, are you kidding me? You want me to do what? But then I do it. And then I'm like, hey, I actually did this. I mean, but if I was doing myself, I'm not sure I would push myself as hard as he pushes me. And it's definitely, I have a new coach now, but he definitely has made progress for me. I can definitely see myself improving with what he has me do. So.
Okay. Wow. Nice. Great. So, your favorite lift, Sandy? Do you do snatch? You do long cycle? Which is what your best lifting? Like, for example, like some people do snatch, some people do long cycle, and they really love it. What's your lift?
Snatch.
Okay. So we would like to know what is your best numbers. Snatch for marathon, snatch for 10-minute classic.
Well, I also do half snatch in the marathons.
Okay.
So I went and I looked at the IKMF site to see which ones I had any kind of records in. And most of them are in half snatch. And you know what that is, right? The half snatch when you come down into the rack. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
So for last fall in France, when we had their IKMF Worlds, I did 860 reps in an hour with the 16 kilogram bell.
Wow.
So, and then I also do double half snatch.
Okay.
That's what I like to call it definitely gets your cardio up. It's a wind sucker. It's very cardio lift. And I did that for a half an hour and I did 282 reps.
Okay. With what bells?
Double 12s. Sorry.
Okay. Wow.
And
That's
then, yeah, I want to get over 300 and I've done it in practice sessions. I just need to do it on the platform now.
That's coming up next.
Yeah, that's what I keep working on. And I'm also, my coaches also have me work on, we have in the IKMF what they call the games. They're 10-minute lifts with heavier bells. And I'm working on the 16s and I'm almost to the point where I can go 10 minutes with the 16s.
Okay.
Now I got to work on my numbers. So and then I have the US record for half snatch for 2 hours. I did 2015 and that's been a few years ago. I was like, I want to revisit that one. I think I could do better now.
Okay.
And then, like I said, last summer when I did the 6-hour lift, it was not a sanctioned lift because I didn't have a judge in front of me the whole time. But I did the 12 kilogram half snatch and I did 4,048 reps.
Wow.
So yeah, that was a challenge. It was something I wanted to do and I did it as a fundraiser and it was great.
Okay. Wow. And anything on 10-minute classic?
I don't have like any world records, but my best with snatch is with the 16 kilogram. I did 208 just recently for an online competition.
Okay.
And I've done 252 with the 12 kilogram in 10 minutes.
Okay.
That's and then I'm working on getting to the 20 kilogram for
20 kilograms. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm working on right now.
Okay. And what are your lifts in Portugal?
In Portugal, I will be doing the 12 kilogram snatch, the 16 kilogram snatch, and then the half marathon with the 16 kilogram snatch.
That's a lot of lifts.
Yeah.
So wish you good luck for the same. That's nice. Great. Wow. So Sandy, it was really interesting to know your background, and I'm So very much thankful for you too that you have accepted to be on this podcast. Uh, I would like to know uh, what message can you give for the women lifters out here in India who are shaping up their career and who want to really get into the kettlebell sport, or also want to do kettlebells but not get into kettlebell sport. So your message to them, Sandy.
I think that they need to know that you can start at any age. You don't have to be competitive if you don't want to. I happen to be a competitive person. Kettlebell is one of the best workouts that I know of to get an all body workout. It helps with your bone density. It helps with your cardio, and you can start at any age and you can lift light and stay light, but the benefits are there. If you're competitive and you want to compete, there's definitely a opportunity for older women to compete against women their same age.
Yes.
And so, I mean, I compete against women my age, but I also compete against younger women, and I love it when I beat them. But I guess the biggest thing I want them to know is you don't have to be competitive if you don't want to. It just, to me, it adds to the fun.
Yes.
But the benefits are definitely there regardless of what path you take.
Yes. Great. So it was a absolutely lovely interaction with you, Sandy. I really wish you all the best in whatever you are doing. And it's a small world, as we interacted earlier, that even I was in Michigan, we are into the same state. And kettlebells again have got us together. So it's nice to know. Wish you lots of luck for upcoming competitions, or also if you're doing any kind of online competition up till then, good luck for that competitions, and I'll see you some in
All right,
one
thank
of the
you.
competitions very soon. Once again, that's